Did your car just break down? Or did you just lose your job?
Ron, I've got to fire you.
Well, I've got to fire you. Bing, bong, bong.
In today's video, you will learn everything you need to know about emergency funds. If you want to be prepared next time life happens, make sure you watch this video till the end. What is an emergency fund? It's ready to use cash in case of an unplanned expense. Why do you need an emergency fund? Because anything that can go wrong will go wrong. No one is immune to life's unexpected events, not even Ned Flanders.
It's all gone.
If you don't have an emergency fund, you may put yourself in a worse position. You might have a long commute to work, and if your car breaks down, how are you going to get to work now? You might lose your job. How are you going to pay the rent? Now you rely on a line of credit, credit cards, or even worse, payday loans. Not having an emergency fund could end up costing you a lot more in interest. What situations should you use your emergency fund? Car repairs, home and appliance repairs, dental or medical emergencies, if a pet gets sick, an emergency trip for a funeral or to visit a sick family member, if you become sick, and if you lose your job. Everyone should have an emergency fund, especially if you have one source of income, because if you lose that one source of income, you have no other sources to fall back on. If you're self-employed, you won't have unemployment insurance. If you're trying to pay off debt, if you don't have an emergency fund, you can get yourself into more debt. If you're a homeowner, owning a home comes with lots of responsibility and have lots of things that can go wrong. If you live far from your family, you may not be able to get the support you need or may need to travel. Or if you have any medical issues, you may have a higher chance of unexpected expenses. What are the benefits to have an emergency fund? With an emergency fund, you can avoid unnecessary debt, which in turn will save you money. Another benefit is peace of mind. If you don't have an emergency fund, you don't know what you're going to do if an emergency happens. Having to worry about what if can be very stressful. But if you have an emergency fund, you have one less thing to worry about. Also with an emergency fund, you are more flexible. You can relocate if you need to. You can change careers, go back to school, or start your own business. Doing any of these things will involve some risks, but if you have an emergency fund, you can afford that risk. Also, having an emergency fund can help you get approved for a mortgage. You having extra funds can mean less risk for the mortgage lenders. Now let's move on to how much your emergency fund should be. The rule of thumb in personal finance is start with $1,000. But this rule has been around for a long time. Now, due to inflation, this should actually be closer to $2,000. But you don't stop there. This $1,000 to $2,000 should be funded as soon as possible with all your efforts. After that, you can take it down a notch and start saving for your 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And depending on your situation, you may want to save enough to cover 6 to 12 months of living expenses. If you lost your job or need to take time off work for whatever reason, your monthly expenses should not be the same. Now you must go into a bare bones budget. What is a bare bones budget? It's a budget that has all unnecessary expenses cut out. Your budget has 3 main categories: wants, needs, and savings. Paying off debt and investing will fall under savings. If you lost your job, you need to take care of needs first, like food and housing. Also, you want to make minimum payments on your financial obligations, like credit card payments and other bills. Your wants should be reduced to the bare minimum. And depending on your situation, you may have to reduce your wants altogether. Wants include takeout food, entertainment, alcohol, clothing, home decor, or anything you don't need to survive. But when creating your 3 to 6 months of living expenses, you should allow some play for wants so you don't burn out. What should you not use your emergency fund for? Emergency funds are not for events that you know are coming. For example, Christmas, birthdays, weddings, license renewals, property taxes, and doing your taxes. They're also not for a great deal on a vacation or a new TV, home renovations, or to replace worn out tires. Things like tires and brakes have an expected lifespan and are expected to need replacing. That's not an emergency. That's regular maintenance. Although some of these items are important, that doesn't make them an emergency. They are expected, so to deal with expected expenses, you need sinking funds. But that's a topic for another video. How to build your emergency fund. There's 2 ways I suggest you do to fund your $1,000 to $2,000. 1. Sell unused goods. Everyone has items in their house that they don't use anymore. Start off by having a yard sale. This will help get rid of the smaller ticket items and odds and ends. Then try buy and sell apps like Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. Easy to sell items include cell phones, laptops, TVs, game consoles, games, workout equipment, bikes, clothing, jewelry, shoes, baby items, etc. Selling unused items can only get you so far. My next suggestion for you to do is a no spend challenge. This is kind of like having a bare bones budget. You only spend on what is absolutely necessary and the rest goes towards your emergency fund. First, try doing a no spend challenge for a full day. No Tim's or Starbucks coffee, no takeout food, make your coffee at home and make a home cooked meal. Don't stop by the corner store to pick up beer or a bag of chips. Don't go shopping for something to do, and no online orders.
I need this.
Once you can do this for a day, try doing this for a week. And if you're really committed, try doing this for a whole month. Another thing you can do is shop your pantry or your deep freeze before you go out and buy more groceries. Finish all the food in your pantry and eat that mystery meat in the bottom of your deep freeze. Bonus tip, water is free. Doing these things can only get you so far. If you really want to fund your emergency fund, then you need to save as much as possible and increase your income. You can increase your income by starting a side hustle or getting a second job. Now you know how to get your emergency fund, but where should you put it? In a high interest savings account. If you're only working on your $1,000 to $2,000 emergency fund, it's okay to keep your emergency fund with whatever current bank you're with. The main thing is that you keep it separate from your spending money and have easy access to it. But once you really start building your emergency fund, you want to earn the highest interest rate to keep up with inflation. One of the highest interest rates and most flexible savings account belongs to EQ Bank. EQ Bank offers the Savings Plus account with an interest rate of 2%. This is the perfect place to keep your 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Your emergency funds should not be invested. Consider the current situation we're in now. When the lockdown first started, the stock market crashed. If you lost your job due to the lockdown, your emergency funds, if invested, would be down 30% or so. That being said, if you have 12 months of emergency funds, you can keep 6 months in cash and invest the other 6 months. This gives you at least 6 months before you need the other 6 months, which can give time for the market to recover. And you may not ever need that extra 6 months. So why not try to earn a higher return? In conclusion, emergency funds are a must-have. It doesn't matter how much money you make or how lucky you think you are. Emergencies happen to everyone. Although emergency funds protect you from life's unexpected events, because of Murphy's Law, you can expect these events to happen. But as long as you have your safety net, you'll be protected. But if you don't, then you're one unexpected expense away from a bad financial situation. Before you consider going on a trip, buying a house, buying a new car, or going on a shopping spree, do yourself a favor and fund your emergency fund first. Before you consider going back to school, changing careers, starting your own business, or investing, fund your emergency fund first. An emergency fund should be your first money move. And with it, you're one step closer to financial freedom. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button so I know you're interested. Next week, I'll be doing a video on budgeting. So if you don't want to miss that video, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification. And if you still have questions about emergency funds, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep making money moves. Peace!